Hello, all of you vaingloriously wonderful people, and welcome back to Timberborn, part 7 in our Emberpelts series, where we're playing with a modded faction named, well, the Emberpelts. They hate water, they like fire. That kind of sums them up. Plus, they have a lot of new food, and some unique buildings. So, big project today, starting off with some tunneling. The first bit for me was a bit of an experiment. I did some tunneling to see how tunneling underneath a big portion of a hill versus blasting from the top down layer by layer would work out. So I put in a bunch of tunnels in this section here. Not a big section, but enough that I could get an idea of what was going to happen. And then I went in and deleted all of the platforms that were under that. And of course, I just realized as I was doing that I missed one of them, but deleted the platforms that were left behind, because what I wanted to see is, when you tunnel, it takes 4 planks, explosives, extract, and a log or something. I forget what. Yeah, log. So it's a lot of resources, or 2 logs, versus this where I'm placing just tier 2 dynamite to try to get down to about the same level, which only takes 1 explosive and 1 extract. Yeah, extract. Just trying to, for a time perspective, to see, and resource, time and resources invested versus amount of mountain removed. That was kind of just, the first part was an experiment for me to get my head really wrapped around that. So with the dynamite in, we can blast that out and see how much better it does. Of course, it also helps remove some of the overhang that is left over from the tunneling. And I think in a situation like this where you're only up 3 or less meters, I think the top-down approach is still better, just because it took far less time to place all this dynamite, and it took far less resources to place all this dynamite than it did to tunnel the much smaller section. Plus, I now have all that debris of logs and planks left over, which is fine, but you can see that my planks and my logs are both full. So that debris is either just going to be wasted resources, or it's just going to sit there forever, or I have to build new storage to store it all. So kind of frustrating. We are going to be doing a lot with dirt blocks today, so I wanted to go ahead and get in the dirt excavator ahead of time so that they could start collecting some dirt so that it would be ready once we get to that phase of today's video. But then I wanted to remove pretty much the rest of a very, very, very large portion of this mountain. So placed in, I mean, you can kind of count a 10 by 10 section up there towards the top left, and then kind of multiply that across. I mean, this is a couple thousand, maybe? I don't know. I know that it took a while because I kept running out of planks. Everything else kept up, but I kept running out of planks, so I'd have to pause the project, let them catch back up on planks, and all of that, and then resume, just so that it wasn't only one little block getting blown up per day for the time lapse here. But got all of this in, got it all blasted out, leaving a ton of platforms behind, quite a few. And you can kind of see this is our before shot, before I go in and remove the platforms. Of course, and I knew this going in, but terrain blocks can overhang by 2. And if you go up, so like if you're at the ground level and you build 1 block up, that can then overhang 2, but then you go up another level, that can now overhang 1 more, and then go up, and it can overhang 1 more, and up, and it can overhang 1 more, to where eventually you have a pretty good chunk of your terrain still in place. Still, I think this was probably the better way to go, because what you can do is get the base removed, leave the overhangs, and then kind of come in and strategically create like a surgical cut where the overhangs are still connected to the remaining terrain. And that's kind of what I went for. Of course, before I could do that, I needed to see where I needed to make all those quote-unquote surgical cuts. So I got rid of all of the platforms. And before I went through and blasted, I did a few other things. Because this left in... I mean, you can see right there, that was 692 logs. I didn't see how many planks, or 693 planks. You know, we're leaving behind a lot of debris here. Though I am pretty convinced that this was the way to go, to blast underneath and then come through. Of course, I'm not done. I realized I needed to go a little farther back over to the far edge of the map, and we will pick up with that in just a little bit. But yeah, just a massive, massive amount of debris. And you can see there when I get rid of that one, even though we weren't looking up above, we did take out quite a bit of terrain. You can kind of see there. You see the dust from it going away. So that did leave me with a very interesting looking area, but still quite a bit left. I'm going to be able to get rid of a big chunk of it over here to the side, but first I wanted to create some new storages, just so I'd have a place to put all of those logs and planks. I could not bring myself to, one, just leaving them there where they were just going to be a big mess, or two, just using the clear rubble or debris, whatever it's called, little broom icon, and just sweeping it all away out of existence, especially after I had waited so long for all of those planks to get made in the first place. So I made some storage over time, and I think I forgot to set them this way, but what I'm going to do is just set these to empty so that they can be used, but they won't be refilled. And so over time, they'll just empty out. So went through over here to get rid of this first bit of the overhangs that are left over. And some of them went just as I started placing platforms, but the rest of it goes just as soon as I get rid of just, what, 6, maybe 8 bits of tunnel there, and boom, we just got rid of a massive, massive amount. Of course, that is the point where I let them start kind of collecting all of the debris that was left over. I just wanted to get it out of here, at least as much of it as I could before I just swept it all away. I wanted to let them fill those 6 new storages, and it's just, I am impressed by the little conga line that they did back and forth, and they did get a lot cleaned up, but there was still a significant amount of debris left behind. But the nice thing is the vast majority of it was just logs, which we never ever ran into any issues with logs in this whole project. So I wasn't too worried about sweeping away just logs, but it was the planks that really kind of concerned me. So I also filled in a little bit of terrain down here. There was like a little dugout section that just exists in the map, and I thought it'd be nice to come in with some dirt blocks, get this section filled in, get it level with everything else that's over here, because we are going to be doing a lot in this area over the next coming few videos. Today is just a big project of a Badwater power system. I was originally going to put this in over on a different part of the map, but then I realized that, one, I already have the Badwater discharge up and above. That is in place and ready to be used, so why wouldn't I use just a small section of the map over here to make that happen? And I've got some ambitious plans. I don't know how well they'll actually turn out. We'll have to see. But yeah, just let them continue collecting the debris and then putting in the dirt blocks. Just give them just a bit more connectivity through the area. And then went back to blasting with tunnels through a big portion of where I want to build this power grid out. You can kind of see over to the right where the Badwater sources are, and I'm leaving a bit of a gap on purpose so that I have some terrain up top to kind of route the bad tide or the bad water where I want it to go. So that's all out of there. Still, you know, obviously we have all of this overhang still left, and it looks really cool, but I need it gone because I need this area clear. I will be rebuilding back up some of it, but I wanted it out of here. So I'm thinking, yeah, I'll get rid of these platforms. That'll get rid of a huge amount. And, well, no, it really didn't. There's still quite a bit left in here, which I don't know what I was expecting. I thought it would get rid of a lot more, But since I didn't go all the way back off the edge of the map, it just didn't quite work out. And I do want a wall back there on the very edge of the map. So yeah, it didn't really get rid of as much as I expected. So I went into what I'm just calling surgical cut lines. It took a few times of blasting through because we were up in some places 8 and 9 meters above where the overhang began. So I had a bit of blasting to do to get rid of all that, but in the end it did all work out. So just doing a little bit more blasting here, and you can see as it cuts any of the overhang off from the part of the mountain that I want to leave, that overhang falls away, and it kind of gives us what we want. The final thing that once I got it all cleared out to do was to blast this big channel. We're going to eventually have Badwater with power wheels going through here. By the way, watch this guy on the left. Well, he makes a turn and is like, whoop, nope, that's not there anymore. Goes back and thinks he's going to get across at that next one, and then that one's gone too. And he kind of did that until eventually he had to turn around and come all the way back down to what's really here close to the camera so that he could get out. But yeah, that eventually all blasted out, and it left us with a nice big channel here that's not quite connected yet because I don't want bad water flowing in there. But let's jump into some live gameplay. And here we are in the game, cycle 32 already, and we have a nice big open area. We are eventually going to probably bring some water in here, or we may move some industry over here. My goal is to get a lot of what's existing relocated to over here so that I can tear all this down and then begin terraforming the crap out of the rest of the map. That's been kind of my goal since it's a smaller map. It's just been kind of my goal for the whole time, is just see what I can do to and with this map. We have a lot of extra builders. They will eventually go away, but they are currently consuming all of the extra beavers that we had working. So, to get started, I've left in just some strategic little areas here. I'm going to pause real quick. And I'm going to run stairs in each of these spots for some connectivity. Granted, I could probably run a two-way over here too, just to make it like quicker for them, but they'd still have to run all the way back up through there. So I don't know that getting rid of just like this little bit of section here. I mean, they'll be coming from our supplies here to here, so I don't know that running the two-way up here is really going to save that much time versus how long it would take to build it. So I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to let them start building those stairs, and then I am going to come through here, and I don't know why I started there. That's not where I wanted to start. I don't know. I saw a line and was like, yeah, that's where I should put that. I want to start down here because I want to have them, I'm going to space these out like every other one. So we've got like a gap in between them just to make them look more visually interesting. And I'm going to start with just two so that they can build one from this side and then build the one that's in this, what's going to eventually be a Badwater river. And they can get down the stairs to build those. And then we'll come through and do another row and then delete the stairs and do the final row. And then on this side, we can connect all the power shafts. And I just want to bring this back pretty far, but I'm not exactly certain how far. I think I'm going to stop right there. I think that'll be fine. So let's unpause. They can start building some of this. In fact, I'm going to speed things up, and then I am just going to run power shafts this whole length. I don't yet know where this is going to connect into our power grid. Like I said, I am wanting to move a lot of our industry over to here. So this is our first big project of the day. And what's great is as they move through, I can just keep coming through here and adding in more wheels. So as they get like, you know, each one in, I add another one, and we'll just keep moving throughout this whole area here. So this isn't really the most exciting thing, I think, to watch time-lapse of, especially since we just did, like, basically 10 minutes of time-lapses. So I'm not going to time-lapse it. I'm just going to get these in, and then we'll pick up from there and look at how this is going to take shape. So I didn't get very far. Well, I mean, they did actually get a lot built, but I realized I made a miscalculation. This is 4 meters wide with a 5th meter over here for the power, which means if I'm going to build walls up, they would have to go here at a 6th, and that won't work because the overhangs can only go 2, and I'm going to want some terrain above. So this can really only be like 2 wide, because like what I'm thinking is, like, if I had the power shafts where they were, we could go up and then we could come out, but then I wouldn't be able to get this connected over to the other side. I don't think we'd have a gap of 1, and that's not gonna work for us. So I need to basically fill in 1 all along here, or I could do this side, it doesn't really matter, and get that corrected. I am going to put the blocks on this side though, because, well, here I'd have to get rid of the stairs to rebuild them too. So I'm going to do that, get all of this filled in with just a row of blocks, and then we'll have 3 water wheels. Whoops, I'm putting dirt where I don't need it. We'll have 3 water wheels in a channel that is 3 meters across, and that'll allow us to get a overhang above that will connect, because now if I build here, like if that's here and our power shafts are here, now I should, or we get this one to connect, but it's not wanting. There, yeah, so see, that'll allow me to do something like that. Obviously it'll be a little bit higher because of where everything's going to be, but it'll work. So yeah, I'm just going to get this all replaced, get the water wheels in, and then pick up from there. And that didn't take all that long, like 2-3 in-game days. And all the wheels are in, all the power's in, and now they are working their way on building up a wall, which if we jump into here, you can see, whoops, let's go up, that I've completely enclosed that area so that we can kind of do this again, but now on the next level up. And I think we're going to be able to get like 3 levels total. So we'll have this one going this way with the water dropping down up here, but then we'll have another level above with the bad tide flowing this way, and then we'll have another one where it's up above and it connects to over here, and the water will go down on that 3rd level, and then so back around and then back around, and they're all going to be filled with triple compact water wheels all the way across. I think this should work. I don't see why it won't. What I want to do though is come in here, and I just want to close these gaps. I don't have to, but I want to. And if you're wondering how I'm going to get the power connected across each level, I'll probably come back through and like blast in a tunnel wherever I decide I want the power to go up. Or maybe I'll just bring it right here on the outside and just go up right here. I have choices, you know, I can do this pretty much however I really want. So I just want to fill in these gaps as well, which they're probably going to get filled in first because I marked all these terrain blocks as the lowest priority. I want to leave 4 down here. I don't know that I need 4. I'm just going with 4. It just seems to work. And then they'll need a way to get up to this next level, or they'll never be able to build it. So on each side, just right here at the start, I am just going to throw in some ladders. In fact, we can do that right here, and then we're just going to put in a temporary path all the way down, just like that. And then we'll, don't know that we'll need it for both sides, but we're gonna do it for both sides. And then that will allow them to get up and do the middle bits. So I think we will do just a bit of a quote-unquote time lapse as they work on some of this wall, though probably not all of it, just a couple key shots. Alright, so they still have a little bit down on this end to finish filling in, and it's just going to take a while because we can't get all of our workers. You can see we have a lot of builders just sitting on their booties. So what I want to do is extend the scaffolding up on this side by 2 more levels and start working toward getting things put in on this next level up. By the way, you can see I enclosed the end here with just a little 3-meter wide opening down at the end. But if I bring in some scaffolding here, this is going to allow us to get in another just wall here, just 1 meter high, and then do the same thing on the back side. But then it'll also give us a way to make some stairs to get down in there, because I don't know that I'm going to be able to do scaffolding back. Maybe if I do the ladder right on the edge, it'll work. But I want to be able to ensure that we're using, ooh, that's loud, as many of our beavers that are assigned to be builders as possible, so that this, you know, goes a little faster. Just keep everybody working. So yeah, no need to have beavers sitting on their booties when I can get this type of stuff done. So let me get this all blocked out, and then we'll take a look at what we're going to do on this level. Alright, so I have all of the scaffolding blocked out. So I want to come in here and just plan for where this wall is going to go. Come on, there we go. All through here, down this edge, all the way down. Excellent. And then on this side, we need a place for our power shafts, which are going to run on this section. Having trouble getting it convinced to stay to 1 column. So we'll run that all the way down. Cool. And then, so we're going to have water dropping from above up here again. So I've come through and I put in this right here, the solid power shaft tunnel, just to give me an idea of where everything is. So that lines up with this block here. Oh, that's the wrong thing. With this block right here. But obviously, that's not where we want this to come, because we're going to have the bad tide dropping down into this section. Remember, it's going to flow this way, then drop down and go down there. So I want to just use that one as like my placeholder, and then I can see where these are actually going to go, which is right here. And then just to facilitate them getting down to this section, we'll do some stairs there. And I think we will kind of repeat what we did last time, in that we give them the 2 to work on with stairs coming down from this side over here, while they can work on power shafts up there. And I believe that should work, but I think I want to let them do water wheels first, so I can get one here and then it'll drop. Yeah, I'm fine with that. So then I just want to double these up all the way down. Autosave almost got me. There we go. And then just in some key locations, do some stairs down so that they're able to get to all of these. But if I remember last time, there was a problem with how I had the stairs placed, because once they built this one, they weren't able to walk past it. So, whoops, I guess we'll just do that one. It's fine. So if I do like every other one, they can come down and get that one, come down and get that one, but then they wouldn't be able to get this one if they built that one. So that's kind of the purpose there. And then we will, once they get all of that built and all the power shafts in, and I get my next row of water wheels in, we will be able to build up another wall and look at where the water is going to come down above that one. So since this is basically a repeat of everything we just did on this lower level, not going to do any type of montage or time lapse or whatever you want to call it. For this, I'm just going to jump cut to when this level gets all of its wheels in. Then we'll look at blocking out the dirt above it and how we're going to connect up to this next level. So something I want to do just mid-project here is add some well-being stuff. Just so we get our little beaver friends working a little faster. So we're just going to put those in, prioritize those two. And that should bring our well-being up just a little bit. Maybe enough to hopefully make them work a little bit quicker. I mean, it's going fine. This is, I mean, I've been 40 minutes to get this whole next level going. I mean, we finished the level and now we're up to the next one already. Plus, I filled in some dirt up here. And so, you know, we've done a lot in that 40 minutes. So it's not too terribly bad. Granted, right now I'm about 6 hours into the project in total from what you saw earlier, as well as in the intro, as well as everything since then. But I really think if we get just a bit more well-being here, oh, we have stranded beavers again, that hopefully we can make them happier and they will work faster. I don't know. It's going to take a while for them to all manage to get through there, but I think in the end we'll be good. We do have quite a few unemployed beavers at the moment, so I think I may even add in just a few more builders huts. So we've got, that'll take all but 3 of them. No, that only takes 16. Whoops, that's a hauling post. There we go. That will get what we need, right? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 24. So that'll take up some of those beavers who are currently unemployed. We'll prioritize that. We have this now for well-being. So our well-being is coming up. We'll see if it's enough to make any impact. And if not, oh well, it's there for now. It's a temporary location, just enough to get them in there. They didn't take too terribly many resources. By the way, I do have these marked for emptying now, so they are slowly emptying these out. So that when we tear down all this scaffolding, there will be somewhere for those resources to go, and they won't just be wasted. Hey, we got one more level. Cool. So yeah, I'm just going to go back to getting this built out, and then we will figure out how to connect it to our Badwater discharge, which, by the way, does give us Badwater flow even during droughts. So this is going to operate during all 3 seasons. And I calculated that I think I'm going to have 144 water wheels. Even if they only work at like half power, that's what, 4,000 HP, which right now, with the wind blowing and the wheels turning, we have just under 1,200. So yeah, we're definitely going to be in much better shape. And we won't have to worry about during droughts and bad tides, and when the wind stops blowing during those, having no power at all, which has happened a couple times during this project. So yeah, just gonna let it keep going. So they're working on the last bit of water wheels here, and I have a question for you, and I'm gonna leave this up to you guys. Should I cap this off and seal it at the top, or should we just leave it open up here and be able to see some of the water wheels, or should we just enclose it and build a complete enclosure over the top? I'm going to leave that one up to you guys. However, what I want to do is I want to get this blasted out. That's 3 meters, right? Yeah, cool. So when I get this done, I will be able to bring all of this in as overhangs down to the last 3 right there. But then we're going to run into a problem in that if I want to have this as overhangs, that's only going to come out by 2. But if I go down 1 right here and do that, I don't know how they're going to get to this just yet. We'll figure that out in a moment. But if we do that, then I should be able to get, whoops, all 3 that I need here. The game's being a little laggy on me. it's kind of not a good sign that we're not that far into the series and I'm already dealing with lag. Oh, but I need to come out one more yet. So we'll do another row here. And then another row here maybe. There we go. And then I should be able to get in. Yeah, this one. That will then let me bring the bad tide over. And wow, I can't believe that worked out, that's just at the same level. Like, I didn't plan it. it just managed to work out. So cool. This is ready to be detonated, so we can get that out of there. I'm gonna say, where's my booms? And then for the construction of this bit here, I need to bring this on up, though. Let's go ahead and just make it look nice here. There we go. I need to bring this up so that, I don't know, just that it's contained. I like that idea. And then on this side, we'll let it be here-ish. Yeah, that'll be fine. We could go one more over, but I think this will all be fine. So, oh no, it's not at the exact same level. It does drop one. That's fine. We'll have a little tiny waterfall right there. Cool. So just to get them down here, I think a ladder will be sufficient. And then we can just connect that and run that to here. And then put in another ladder right there. And then they'll be able to get to all of that. The only thing I'm not sure about is back here. I don't think that one's a little too far away. So I'm going to run a little path just right there for them to get all of that connected. So they have just a few more water wheels to build and just a couple more blocks to fill in. We have power connections coming out the side in multiple areas, and once we rip down the scaffolding, we'll be able to connect that. Though I'm not going to rip down all the scaffolding, so I'm going to need them to build from up here to be able to build it down to connect, because we'll have to stack a few and then bring it over. In fact, we can start on this a little bit by coming in here with a couple solid power shafts. So it's not going to let me build one there. That's fine. And then connect that up, and they can get started somewhat on that. And they're making good progress. So let's get this little bit built out right here. And by a little bit, I mean it's a lot of overhangs and fun stuff that I'm not even really sure they're going to be able to reach, but we'll find out. I think it'll work. I think they'll be able to get over here from all of that. But let's get this little corner filled in so we have a place for the Badwater to actually float. So cool, they have this done. I don't think I'm going to worry about picking up this little bit of debris. Just get rid of all of this stuff, and I think that they were able to get everything else in as well. The power shafts, pretty sure they were working on that. Yes, that is now all connected. Granted, this is not producing any power whatsoever right now. Because we haven't yet turned it on. So let's do it. We're going to open this up and let... Ooh, that's ominous. And let the Badwater start flowing through. It's going to take it a bit for it to flow through. I don't think we're going to leak anywhere because when we had two of these running, it never... this is where the channel was, and it was only 1 meter deep. It never went over, and in some places it's only 2 tiles wide, 2 meters wide. So I think this will be fine. If anything, it may be a bit underpowered because I don't know if this thing's going to put out enough water to really turn all these wheels all that fast. As it stands, it doesn't look like it's going to go all that fast. But if we have to, We can always blast this wall out, get rid of this, and turn it into a discharge and have them both going. And then get our Badwater from over here. This is going to be a much bigger project from that to power anyway. So that might be the solution. Yeah, this is not flowing very fast at all. That makes me very, very sad. I really thought this was going to do better than that. I'm kind of curious if once it drops, if it might not be a bad idea to have some dams at each end so that the water pressure actually builds up. But as it gets to different wheels, we are getting more and more power. Granted, we're only getting... Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Well, these only put out 60 max anyways, so that's running at almost half. And that's kind of where I was aiming for, was half. So, a third I'm not really happy with, which is what we're getting closer to, but I don't know. We'll see what happens once the water gets all the way down to the end. It's taking a while. So I'm going to let this run for just a few minutes, and we'll see how much power we got out of it in the end. So I have let a few days pass so that everything can normalize. You can tell they're not turning all that fast, but not quite as much power as I was hoping for. Most of these are running at about less than a third, and we've got 2,600. So we may do what I mentioned. I even tried like damming it up, but then I realized that's dumb. It's still going to flow the same speed, even if it's dammed up. It's not going to go any faster. We're going through at the same 0.3 we were before I built the dam. So yeah, it's kind of, the dam was dumb. It seemed like a good idea at the time. Anyways, we're gonna get rid of this scaffolding so that we can prepare for next time's project, which is going to be blasting another channel, but this time for freshwater, because I want to have options for what we can do with all of this over here. If you have suggestions, by the way, on how I can improve what I've built today without utilizing that other Badwater source, I'd love to hear them. I know there's all kinds of... I shouldn't have got rid of the path, so you need to be able to get back here. There's you know, all kinds of math that goes into it, which I've never, to be honest, ever bothered investigating. Like, you know, the cubic meters per second and all that good stuff, and how to calculate it and know exactly what you're going to get and everything. I've just never done it. I don't know why I've never done it. It's just, I like tackling the projects as a, hey, let's see if this will work approach. So if I open all of these back up, they will be able to clean up all that debris. Don't worry, I'm not going to wait for them to clean up all the debris. We are going to wrap up. I'm still rather pleased with it, though. It's 2,600 power in a fairly compact space. And I may cap it off and even build it higher and then use this as a place for a battery wall, because since I'm going to be blasting a channel for water on this side, I could blast down a few more tiles here as well and have batteries just hanging off the top of this thing. So I know we can build up even higher than what we have right now. I know that because I see terrain that is higher. Anyways, it's been fun. I really have had a lot of fun with this. About 7 hours total build time, but it's been a lot of fun to try something a little bit different than what I normally do, and just see what happens. And well, I'm sure there's ways we can improve it, and I'm sure you guys will let me know. But until next time, I'm Brandon, reminding you to stay vainglorious.